Before you say this is an all-male panel, Antonella Di Lazarro from RAI was normally also part of this panel, but she had to cancel because there was some urgent work business that she had to take care of and she couldn't make it today, so that was not our intention. I'm happy to talk about public service media and their role in news innovation, and we brought some really exciting examples with us. I have next to me Wilfried Runde, who's the head of innovation projects at Deutsche Welle. Hervé Brusini, who's director of strategy at France Info, and who will also do the presentation in English, which I thank Hervé for because...
Thank you, and sorry for my terrible English. Io parlo italiano, ma questo inglese è più difficile.
And then we have Mika Rahkonen from, who's newly head of strategy at Yle, the Finnish public broadcasters. And myself, I'm Ezra Eeman, head of digital at the EBU. And if you don't know the EBU, we're the world's leading alliance of public service media. Between them, our members operate almost 2,000 television, radio, and online channels, reaching an audience of over 1 billion people across Europe and beyond. So quite an important group of organizations together. And as you know, public service media have at the core of what they do, they have delivering news and bringing that over 185 TV and radio services dedicated to news and current affairs. But they are also under pressure. They're also in a complex landscape of disruptive technology trends and audience needs, and they continuously have to rethink and re-examine how they deliver value to their audiences. And I think that's why innovation is also core to their transformation in itself. If you want to stay connected with your audience, you also have to rethink your value proposition to them. And I might talk a bit later, if there's still some time, to how they do this in various, looking at different parts of the value chain. But before I talk a bit further, I'll give the floor to the panelists, and I'll start with Wilfried Runde from Deutsche Welle, and I'll open that slide set for him. We came in late, so I still have to patch the clicker too. This should work normally. If it doesn't, don't kill me.
No. Then you do have to.
You're dead, man.
So I think this one is for you, and I'll put it on play.
For me. Yeah. Hello, good morning. I tried to do it like this, standing up. Is that audible? Yeah, it is audible. Yeah, thank you for coming. Thank you for your interest in innovation and public service media. I'm with Deutsche Welle, as Ezra nicely introduced us. This picture here, for some almost miraculous reason, shows both focus topics that I'm going to talk about. The first one is the truth. I mean, the previous session, but many others are dealing with the topic of misinformation and propaganda. But I also talk, because this is an actual picture taken about 3 hours north of Beijing and the mountainside. So this is also kind of a funny case of strange Chinese to English translation. So as said, I have both in the presentation. All right, just to get you started, to tickle your brains a bit, when in Rome or when in Perugia. What is this? I might give away a T-shirt. Yes, Rob? 1900? No, it's not this year. It's... No. Hell no. Yeah, 1953. Oh no. Oh, that was, he cheated. Yeah, it's 1953. I mean, in 1953, what was 1953? Deutsche Welle was founded. Deutsche Welle, Germany's public broadcast. So we're in our 5th year of existence. So that's something to celebrate this year. Sometime in June, there will be some festivities. Look out for that. And on top of that, we remain the international public broadcast of Germany with 30 languages, which is important for this presentation as well. And then last time before I start, the usual disclaimer. Whatever I show you now in the upcoming 15 minutes is where I'm only the enabler, I'm only the facilitator, and these wonderful people do the heavy lifting on all these projects that I show you. All right, we're talking about truth, translation, and then also transformation, because I think we can give away a bit of experience here of when try to bring something new, especially new technology, to legacy media, then it's that last mile that matters. Okay, let's start with the truth. Again, this is not a German language test, but it's rather, at best, a test in color blindness, because what you see here in those lists, the content, yes, it does matter, but the colors do matter. These are the 10 most interacted and shared articles on Angela Merkel in 2017 on Facebook. And you see very easily what's wrong here. All the red indicates these are outright false, these are lies, and you see the interactions. It's in the 6 digits interactions and shares. So out of these 10 most shared, most interacted with articles on Angela Merkel, only 1 is true, and then 2 are just op-eds. So that's the state, and this is why, and I think it still reflects here in the conference program, but we all should be aware that verification is still does still matter. And as said, I'm not going deeply into that topic. It's just a reminder, a bit of context for the upcoming software tool that I will present. We do need to care about verification because, and that was all in the previous panel as well, if you saw that, what is happening with misinformation. We here in Europe, in the US, we're talking about breach of privacy, we're talking about election manipulation, which I do not want to downplay, but for some people, it's really about life and death if there is misinformation that will go around a certain community at scale. And that is why verification is so important. And you can go on. You had this crisis in Sri Lanka only like 3 weeks ago where outright false information was spread up to rumors that that Muslim chefs are mixing contraceptives into Buddhist clients' meals, and all this led up to the tension that then exploded around the city of Kandy and led to these riots. And the first thing the government did was to block Twitter, Facebook, and WhatsApp, so these lies could not be spread any further. But another platform, another country, it doesn't stop here. In these countries, we have to put our focus more on what the verification process needs to be about to facilitate this. This is India. India is a video market now due to very, very cheap data rates. And here is just see for yourself. I mean, this is a trending topics in late March, and all of them were kind of fake. So, because verification is so important, we built a tool that's called Truly Media, and I'm closing the cycle here for 1 year. You see that tweet here from April 7th last year. My dear friend and colleague Jochen Spangenberg revealed Truly Media here for the first time. Well, what is Truly Media? It's a tool for newsrooms to support in the verification process. And the good thing is, as I said, we are 1 year further on. It was in an early beta phase in 2017, and boy, did we come a long way. We have integrated it into Deutsche Welle workforce with a social media team. It's in use there. You get at the core of what Truly Media is, you get some help from technical tools to do your verification, but you especially walked through a checklist of how a certain item is to be verified. So this is, as said, a big step for us, actually easily the biggest success in terms of bringing software into the organization, but it doesn't stop here. We did this together with a software company who licensed out this product. And again, Sam W. was here in the previous session. End of last year, Amnesty International took the decision to equip their verification core, their global verification core, with Truly Media, and they're working with that. And it doesn't even stop there. We're in very fruitful talks with a German content management provider that wants to add Truly Media as a plugin to their content management suite. ANOVA and Open Media is the product. Wow. So that was the truth bit, the verification process. Let's now talk about other projects, and here we are on translation. And again, I brought kind of a thing that summarizes this in a particular way. It's a classic on the German internet. I don't know if you know it. Let's see. Is there audio?
Das hier ist mein Sektor. Das hier ist das wichtigste Gerät des Küstenwächters. Das Gerät und das Gerät. Überlebensradar.
Mayday, mayday. Hello, can you hear us? Can you hear us? Can you... Over. We are sinking. We are sinking.
Hello? This is the German Coast Guard.
We are sinking. We're sinking.
What are you thinking about?
Okay, this is that's everything that I want to talk about. I want to talk about translating languages. I want to talk about subtitles also, because what we have now, we started in the beginning of this year, but it built on a prototype we developed last year, is NewsBridge. And NewsBridge is something that we think will deliver the promise that human language technologies, automated translations, gave us for years. I mean, trust me, we're looking as an international public broadcaster with 30 languages. We're looking at these technologies for more than 10 years, and they never delivered. But now we're in a state where stuff does help, does work. So what does NewsBridge do? You have your video, say in that case in English, but you want to have a German video made out of that. Then you have a speech to text, so the speech is recognized, the transcript is produced, the transcript is translated into the target language, English in that case. Then you get automated subtitles, and then this is the experimental bit, if you wish. It also has an automated voiceover, and you can choose many different kind of voices that you want to have. This may be a bit far away from actual operational work, but the other, trust me, we have made big progress here. And the one on the top left corner, this is what is under the hood. Actually, we're accessing Google, IBM, Microsoft, Amazon translation services to get the translation done. And there's loads of investment, there's loads of progress over the past, say 2 years. We can now work with that. There's, of course, an option to manually edit everything, and it will automatically be translated. But these machines learn. They learn from every video that they translate, and the results do get better and better. We use the same technology for another project or a sub-project, which is called Summer, which is basically an editorial planning tool or a monitoring tool. So you can actually, if you're at the English desk, you will get the headline of the Spanish desk translated into English, so you have a good overview of what's here. And this you can use for your own planning, but also as said for monitoring of competitors. The translation bit. Now for the transformation. I think, as said initially, I think this is the hardest, it's the toughest way, because another photo, bringing new technology to wherever places, it's not always welcome, as you see here. Yeah? You have this even cute robot, but this is in Tokyo in the train station. You have to put up a place, please don't hit me. Yeah? So, because people are not always welcome. New technologies that is supposed to help us. And this is also true for the long way between the innovation, the idea, to the legacy media. I was actually thinking if we can come up with a kind of a Mordor index of companies, seeing how far does it get. It sometimes feels like this, I can assure you, but it's still is not hostile, but we need to facilitate this last mile. And I think, talking about Deutsche Welle, since 3 years there was a big organizational reform, and we now do have a dedicated process from where we go with our ideas. Once we have a prototype, where do we present that? There are technical people, there are editorial people, all looking at this, and this is either the kill gate or the proceed gate to get stuff into the organization. This is very important. If you don't have a process that will enable new technology getting into the organization, this one is really, really tough. So what we decided, because it is so tough, is that we should go more deeper into the fabric of the organization. I showed you tools to use for the newsroom, but I think we need to dig one level deeper, and we found a technology that might be promising, and this is, guess what, the blockchain. We want to go deeper into content management, deeper into rights management, and also, this is Blomen, it deals with media rights management. We also want to go into the hiring process of developers, because this is one of the toughest parts for public service media, to hire and retain developers. Now we want to facilitate this using the blockchain, having smart contracts on top of the blockchain in order to get assignments ready for developers worldwide. This is in a pitch process, so we are trying to get some funding for this, but we're quite excited about the prospects. Okay, that's it from me. If you want to follow what we do, here is our Twitter channel, a little short of 5,000 followers, so I'm counting on you. And then there's also our blog at DW Innovation. That's it from me. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'll directly continue and go to Hervé, and then add questions later and discussion later. Going to open your presentation as well, Hervé. No, that's the other one. Yes, there you are. Will you do it sitting, or will you be...
No, sitting, because I'm very old. Why are you laughing?
Here you go.
Okay. And bim.
Yes, like this knowledge.
Hello, everyone. First of all, innovation is a key word for the public service now. And in France, we have, like it's wrote here, we have to rebuild my TV, all my TV. And it's very tough work. So for us, innovation is a fundamental principle of the media and its survival. For a public service media like ours, it's even like a kind of political mission. Because, you know, we have a power, Mr. Macron, who wants to change the public service, to modernize. And we think about it yet and a few years ago. We cannot lose touch with the younger generation. So, as you say, as the world says, our activity is going through a strange period now. Muting of our environment, decline of linear TV, multiplication of screens, evolution of the use of the public, and rise of the AI and the data, which is the new oil. Systemic transformation of our society, disinformation, the era of the post-truth, crisis of confidence of the citizens, and crisis of legitimacy of the media. The current speed and complexity of media change requires adaptation that involves innovation and organizational transformation of conventional media, and I am a conventional media. All the more important for a public service. Sorry, could you go? Thank you, because after that I'm dead. All the more important for a public service media like France TV, which must stay in step with its time to continue to address all audiences. So I will present today what we do at France TV in terms of innovation to meet new users while facing the major issues of our time, misinformation, and personal data protection. We can speak about RGPD. You know RGPD? RGPD is the regulation of data, personal data, and in Europe is coming in France in May. A year and a half ago, fantastic, we launched the Media Lab. And after, yes, the goal is to infuse innovation within the group. It's not a victory every day. I speak sincerely. To disseminate digital culture, to reflect on new ways of manufacturing and disseminating information in the 21st century, while responding to the major democratic issues of our time. So, for mission, monitoring, we have a blog called Metamedia. You can find it on France Info. Test and learn, R&D, startups, university, and POC, production of prototype projects. There are two major challenges. Yes, défis, challenges. The information. For some years, we have started, like everyone, a battle against what some people call fake news. Our mission as a public service is to deliver quality info, respecting journalist ethics. We have every day 2 racings about our ethics, regain public trust, and educate the media and the news. And the innovation. Propose innovative editorial format adapted to new uses, new screens, smartphone, tablets, and new interfaces, chatbots. We have chatbots on France TV, France Info, and voice interfaces. We try to put that on France Info too. The background, yes, is explosion, you told about it, of false information. We are talking about an era of misinformation, and our duty is to disseminate quality information, but also educate citizens to the media. We have to go outside my TV, to go in the schools, to meet with educators and the young people. Teach them to get information, check their sources, and exercise their critical spirit. Here are some examples of our initiative. For example, this. We are working with national education, and on distribue. Right? That in all the schools, the French schools. This is a QR code, and if you want to know how to see if a picture is good or not, is real or not, you have that, because Behind that, there is some videos. It's the way to go into the tutorials. Video, MOOC, awareness, we call that all fact checkers. And we do that with the newspaper Le Monde and Rue 89, which is a site very interesting. Fact-checking partnership with the unexpected. It's also a site on our political show during the French election, and series of metamedia tutorials to raise awareness and inform about major digital issues. Our late initiative is a series of 25 teaching modules that answer questions such as what is journalism or what are the responsibilities of the press. I can show you a few seconds. You will see it's quite funny. I hope so. It's on the occasion of the centenary of the journalists' professional charter in 1918.
Try to recognize the main actor here.
It's me. Okay, so it's history, and with that type of young code, we try to find the curiosity of the young people. So, another subject of innovation carried by the Media Lab is the hub. It's a touch screen installed on the set of our TV, France Info, used daily on France Info to make data viz in partnership with Microsoft Power BI during the electoral evenings. This is a new storytelling and analysis tool for the info service. After data viz, okay. After, during the presidential election, we also conduct a project to listen and analyze in real-time social network and platform. And as our big challenges is to win back the young audience. We have just launched a new offer for this particular target called France TV Slash. This is video media available on France TV and platform, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter. This is in destination of young adults who are settling in life to answer their questions with a tone both close and offbeat. And I quite finished. The innovation are also in the set with many experiences in AR and 360. Regularly sequences in augmented reality on the set, on our TV news, and soon a 360 news experience where spectators will be able to immerse themselves in the skin of the presenter of a big session news at 20. Innovative format which renew the way of telling the info, which involves the public who becomes an actor of the experience. That point is very important. So, we are also VR experiments, including Roland Garros, you know, the tennis, and the presidential, an app that allowed to meet the candidates in the election as 3D avatar. Mr. Macron was an avatar, but now is real. And we have also a business with the startup, and one startup is called Newsbridge, which is doing the speech-to-text. It's very interesting. It was interesting to hear you And after, that's a point very important. We speak about fake news, but we have to speak about data. This year is the year of the regulation. We switch from mass media to precision media, personalization. Data has become a central issue. The RGPD, as I told you, will profoundly transform the way companies manage data collection, will require all depositing cookies to explicitly request the consent of internet users. Until now, they were only informed. Will allow them to refuse by default and so do not even give the sites a chance to ask. What will be a break for targeting and therefore the personalized recommendation? So, as a public service media, we must not only comply with the regulations, but also be ethical, transparent in the management of our users' data to maintain their trust and preserve the brand and the reliability of the service, which is the public service. So I think very important in the democratic society like France. Thank you, and sorry for this terrible English.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And then we go now to the future with some robots in the newsroom. And I'll bring that back to Mika, who will talk more about it.
Hi, my name is Mika. Good to be here. Good to see you all. And now you're asking, how the hell is a strategy guy playing with robots? In my defense, I've only been head of strategy for like 6 weeks now. And I used to run the what we called a news media lab before that, and that's the role that I'm here for. 3 things that I'm going to talk to you about pretty briefly, I hope, so that we have time for questions. First is what we think is going on with robot journalism, automated journalism, what we did with robots, and what might happen next. This, I hope you all know what movie is this. This is fantastic. This might seem like, you know, this is something that doesn't even deserve to be said. But quite frankly, journalists probably haven't been the most forward-looking people on the planet, out counting the participants of journalism seminars, of course. But this will happen. New technology has changed, will change things in newsroom as well. There will be less mechanical jobs and routines in newsrooms as well. And as with every single business in the world, what can be automated will be automated in newsrooms as well. So what does this mean for reporters? I was recently speaking at a sports reporters conference in Finland, and they were pretty worried, and they asked me, are we going to lose our jobs? So I told them that, well, yeah, if only thing you can do is something that, you know, can be done by a robot, yeah, I think you should be worried. It goes without saying that top talent will become even more valuable, and mediocre skills will have even less demand. But how fast will things go on from here on? I don't know. I have no idea. What we did with robot journalism, that's our guy. So we call him Voitto, which is an old-fashioned Finnish first name, translates into victory, so let's call him Victor here. Victor works also in Swedish, and we call her Victoria in that regard. But Basically, this is a short piece of code we're talking about. But we wanted to give it/him/her a face and a name. And we're glad we did. Why? Because a piece of code, who understands what the hell is it? It's impossible to understand what it is. But when you give it a face and a name, it suddenly becomes more approachable. The whole concept of what it is and what it's doing, it becomes much more understandable, right? So what have we done with it? This is a page of the election results in one town in Finnish municipal elections. Victor started doing sports stories, NHL ice hockey, Champions League football, and he has written hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of stories. And then when he did sports, we taught him how to report on politics. Election night, municipal elections, we automated the news for every single town. Who won, who lost, who got elected. We've got 380 municipalities in Finland. So he did 380 stories. And in many towns, we had a reporter, a human reporter, who took the basic work that the robot did, and the human reporter built upon that. And that we're going to be doing more later. What's next with Victor? He does have a career plan. He will learn to report on new things, business maybe, crime, something like that. We're going to be doing more and more collaborations with automated reporting and human reporters. And this is something that gets said every single time you talk about automated journalism, that human reporters will probably have more time for ambitious and interesting big operations. That's cool. But one thing is that we recently opened the source code for Victor. So anybody can take it. So Victor might end up working with what we might call our competitors even in the near future. This is something that, we try to provide public service value doing this. We've been toying with the idea that you can tune Victor to root for your favorite team when Victor is reporting on sports. Just imagine what he might have said about last night's game between Real, the last second penalty kick. Then obviously voice activated user interfaces are going to be here with a bang pretty soon, so we're going to be teaching him how to speak. And then maybe Victor's going to be like a personal trainer to our reporters. We're thinking about integrating Victor into our content management system so that he can remind the reporters of important stuff. You use way too much exclamation points. Tone of voice is it's really, really important. And we're really, tone of voice is something that we're talking about a lot. How Victor speaks to our reporters. So, but the big thing is, you guys know, in the history of journalism, and this is the big thing here. The history of journalism has been this. What's being reported? What has been the most significant thing for the maximum amount of people, right? This has been the guiding principle number one in journalism, all right? So this is the revolution here. The amount of stories that we're going to have, it's not going to be double, it's not going to be triple, it's going to be vast with automated journalism. Because it doesn't get tired. What are we going to be writing about? Pretty much anything that has structured data, hyper-local stuff, sports, business, crime, whatever. The point is this: when your production costs producing a single story hit about 0, you don't have to care anymore if your story has 1 million readers or 10 readers. So you can report on pretty much anything. And this is the real deal. This is the big stuff. 3 years ago, which is pretty much like a stone age of automated reporting, Associated Press told that they've been able to increase their stories on business earnings, corporate earnings, by 10-fold. And this was 3 years ago. And when you have a vast number of stories compared to what you have now, the trick will be connecting the right stories to the right people. So, in conclusion, if and when you have automated journalism, you're going to be having a lot, and I mean a lot, more stories. And when you have a lot more stories, you're gonna be having trouble with findability. The haystack is gonna be way bigger than it is now. So good luck finding the needle. And then, so you're gonna be having growing need for personalization, because we do know, and this is not only about news, but with every single digital service, is that personalization helps findability. So, my argument is this. Automated journalism in itself will grow the need for personalization. And to finish, I want to show you, we wanted, sort of like tongue-in-cheek way, we wanted to sort of like almost humanize this Victor that we have. So we made a plush toy. It's a human-sized plush toy, and we have had our reporters taking selfies with Victor. And it looks nice. And we don't care much about slogans, because mottos, because they tend to be embarrassing. But this is something that we've been telling ourselves for a long time now. So we have to try new things before new things try us. Thanks.
Well, I had some more slides, but I somehow feel this is a good point to start a conversation. So I think we dive right into the conversation. We've heard different aspects of innovation, and first question that could come to mind is, why in the hell does public service media have to innovate? Isn't this something that the industry have to do? Do we have to spend public money for this? Just throwing it in the group here. Who wants to answer this first?
I can. I mean, to me, this is a no-brainer. I think, given the values that we have, there may be a need for also a specific kind of public media innovation. If you look at Truly, then what we found before we started that project, before we started to pitch for funding also for that project, is that there were not that many tools that would support a newsroom in a way that Truly does it now. So I think there is specific focus, a specific need, and therefore definitely a demand to do these kinds of projects, new developments. I mean, same for the robots here in public service media, because it's a specific environment that should respect specific frameworks.
Yeah, well, I think when you look at the history of public service media, innovation has always been at the core. In past decades as well, there's always been innovation, and it has been at the core of public service media, and I think it should be at the core of public service media. And if you look at it, if you understand one thing about how media is transforming these days, that if you don't innovate and do it really, really seriously, I think you're going to be in deep trouble, because the world is going to pass you by pretty soon.
I would even emphasize that we having or not having that much of a financial risks to take. We have a kind of an obligation to do more on experimentation, to try things out and then see how it catches on in the either with other public service media or with commercial entities. So.
Could you say that the difference is maybe that we're not just looking at what's possible, what's new, but also what new meaning does it introduce in people's life, what value does it bring? Which is an added perspective that's not necessarily an added perspective for industry players.
Well, yeah, that too. And you know, I think, well, we should make sort of new collaborations with innovation, things that we didn't have now. We should collaborate with commercial players. And we should provide value to, I told that we opened the source code for our news robot.
Which is interesting, because I start at the input side, I think we start all from the same position. But on the output side, I think Deutsche Welle, you have an approach where you try to commercialize or at least to sell some of the products you do, while you open sources, which is a different approach. Clarify here, if I'm wrong.
No, just only, I mean, this sounds...
They're way smarter than we
not
are
only,
because they're making money.
Too bad. No, it's just that, I mean, you would have to look, actually, truly is our first, if you wish, public-private partnership where we actually would participate in the revenues as well if they keep coming. But still, we also do have a GitHub account for many years where code from other projects is also opened. So I guess that depends. This was an opportunity which we happily took, but I think it's not the general approach that we go for something commercial. I'd say that, again, this may be the advantage of a public service media, that they might not in the first place look for revenues, but for the best tool, the best workflow to do the job. And then, of course, there is the access to the people that will actually work with that software. This user-driven approach, which is quite commonplace in software development. But we are very close with the editorial people that work with that, and so the development cycle, the development loop is very, very, very short and very helpful to get that feedback early in.
You wanted to add something to that?
Je vais parler en français. Ouais. Comme je l'ai dit, l'innovation pour un service public, si on ne fait pas ce choix, c'est la mort. C'est pas big trouble, it's death.
Yeah, so if you don't innovate, you're just dead as a public service media.
It's simple. Nous sommes pris à la gorge. Mais c'est passionnant et c'est formidable. Notre philosophie est une philosophie d'ouverture où, tout comme nos amis, nous pouvons effectivement ouvrir, y compris un CMS, et la possibilité de participer à notre effort de qualité d'info. Parce que le pari, il est que si tout le monde, si on dissémine, si on viralise la qualité de l'information, c'est une bonne chose pour toute la société française et mondiale.
Yeah, so the approach of France Info is very much an open approach in trying to disseminate the innovation and make the ecosystem richer by an open approach. Coming back to this, because innovation also and technology also has a major impact on newsrooms itself. You're introducing tools to journalists, you're replacing journalists. How is that entering the companies that you work in? Like how is that friction working? Is that seen as an opportunity or as a...
Well,
please tell us this for Victor, especially when it gives them recommendation while they're right. I mean, this reminded me a lot of the Microsoft paperclip where they, okay, here I am.
There's no problem because we're only replacing the bad journalists. Joking. Well, we're not as much talking about replacing journalists. This is something that, we're building on top of our things on our system. I haven't attended one single conversation at the YLE where people would have, even brought up the idea that when we automate journalism, we might be able to, get rid of journalists. Not one single conversation that I know of.
Mm-hmm. Because, and I ask it explicitly, I feel sometimes there's a tension between innovation where the focus is on efficiency, doing things quicker and faster and scaling things, and then creating extra value, being able to filter out fake information and adding context, and I'm not always sure if the balance of our innovation is tilted towards adding value versus scaling and making things faster and quicker.
But I think the things that we've been talking about here, it sort of like emphasizes the old thing that we've been talking about for years now, is that we all do things that are related. I would love to have some tools that you guys have. Absolutely, that would be fabulous. So we're all trying to reach public service media companies. We're all trying to do similar stuff, and we do it by ourselves. And we collaborate, relatively little to not at all. That's the scale of our collaboration in these things, I feel. So there's a lot to do. And that's the one point of collaboration. The second one is, within countries with public service media together with commercial sector. It would be really important, in small languages like Finnish or many other examples, that, you make sure that there is automated journalism in that language, because there are language-based, limitations in these things.
Il y a un grand pari qui est l'arrivée de l'intelligence artificielle dans nos rédactions.
Yeah, so there is a big challenge with the artificial intelligence coming into newsrooms.
Par exemple, nous discutons avec une start-up que nous avons accueillie dans nos rédactions. En France, dans le service public, c'est un changement de mœurs total.
Yeah, so they have a discussion now with a company that would introduce artificial intelligence in the newsroom, but it's a really big change for them and in France.
Que fait cette start-up? Elle va nous permettre de reconnaître en temps réel tous les gens dans les images et donc de documenter en temps réel les images que nous recevons.
Yeah, so the startup will help them identify people within their images and directly tag them accordingly.
Mais pas à la méthode chinoise, à la méthode française.
Yeah, so not the Chinese you heard, I think the stories about in China, but a French way of doing it.
Les autres, I respect the Chinese, but not politically.
Yeah.
So, les personnels, et en particulier documentalistes, les journalistes, au début on dit on ne veut pas ça. Et après, en parlant avec les gens de la start-up et avec nous, nous sommes sur le point de le mettre en place.
Yeah. So first of all, the people in the newsroom and certainly then people from archives were resistant, but now they see the benefits as well and they start adopting it. I want to bring it to a full circle and then see if there's still questions in the room. How does our audience react to all this innovation? Because in the end, we want more engagement. We want to reach younger audiences. Do we feel that we actually connect with them with these innovations, or is it trial and error?
I think this should be strategic. We should be thinking at all times, what is it that we're trying to achieve? What's the end product? How do we make the end product better for the audiences that we serve? And that's number one. And we felt that, yeah, I think we're going to need vastly more stories. I think we have to make hyper-local stuff. We have to give our reporters more time to do ambitious stuff that's directly in relation to our strategic goals. Mm-hmm. So that's, I think, number one. And when I hear you guys, I think it's the exact same thing with you, both.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say the important thing is that you work along the interface between technology and content, and you have to be active. You have to have innovation projects, innovation actions on both sides of that of this interface. So some will be more technology oriented, but then you breach over into the content part, and there you would also have to have new format development, and then see where that interface exactly is and how the interaction between technology and content development goes about. So this is, I think, important to not just have one entity working on, okay, we're doing this new web video kind of thing. No, we have to have AR, VR experiments, and then see where it goes, where technology goes and where content goes. So with this, you have the reach and the technological innovation, I think. Okay. Which is hard.
Because the innovation is not less journalism, it's more journalism.
Exactly. Yeah, that's a good point.
The exigence is very hard, and for us is more difficult. Le défi, comment on dit le défi?
The challenge.
The challenge is very hard for the journalism, and it's a good thing.
Okay. I want to open it up to the room before we head up maybe all to lunch or something nice to eat here on the, I see the sun is shining, so gentlemen, is there a microphone in the, or do we just do it like this?
I can do it.
Yeah. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Giordano Cossu. I was curious to know more about this model of collaborating with startups. So, because in the future I think it will come more and more. So, France Télévisions, what is the future intention? That is, you develop something with a partner, and then with the objective to one day integrate it fully, which means buying the company or letting Google or somebody else buy it at one point. And for the others, I wanted to know also if your development in your innovation products is done completely internally, or also you follow this pattern, and with which intentions? Thank you.
Okay, so we'll start with...
So very quickly, we are not a capitalistic organization, a public service, so we don't buy this startup. We have done an acceleration of the project, and for 4 months the startup was there to know our process, to develop his project, and now is good. We have to launch an appel d'offres.
Yeah, so an open bid. Yeah.
Yes. After to see if some other companies build the same offer, the same things, and after we try to import that technology. But the startup is there, and I am there.
I know that on the EBU level, we're trying to scale now a certain approach, which is a sandbox approach, where public service media actually open up the possibility for startups to be part of the newsrooms or part of the companies for a specific period, develop their product, and get a better sense of, is this useful for a specific media company and their audiences, and then bring it to the market. Sometimes there are possibilities to have a first pick for the product, but that's not always necessary. And we're trying to scale this approach so that a company in Germany might also go to a public service media company in Finland, if that's an interesting way of...
It's a big free oxygen for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And it brings new ideas to public service media, brings innovation, brings new thoughts.
Yeah, I think to answer the question, I think the most crucial thing that you want to have, the most strategic thing, it would be good to if you had it, in-house, so that you don't have to buy the thing that's the most important to you. I'm not completely satisfied with the way that we, on my watch, when what we were able to do with the small startups, but luckily the guy who took over my job sits 2 rows behind you, there, exactly, so ask him.
Okay. Any more questions for the audience before? There. Maybe you can.
It's okay.
I just wondered if you needed to pick which technology are you most excited about of all the technologies talked about, and which one are you most scared about?
Excited and scared at the same time.
Excited and scared, yeah. Just what the prospects of what Mika was showing, which is technology that's also inside the translation or video adaptation system that we are building. Yes, it can be scary. I mean, how would you call these the more aggressive innovators also in public media are I don't know, they have scenarios of laying off X percent of the workforce because it's going to be replaced. So that's always a scary thing. But on the other hand, we have to mediate exactly this. We have to look to put this technology to the best perceivable use for journalism. So in that respect, looking back over the past 3 years, it's definitely that big leap in AI. Here again, very specific in translation technology. That's very exciting.
I don't think I'm scared of anything technology when it comes to technology, except for that we're going to be lagging behind. As for the promising stuff, machine learning. This Victor of ours, he's dumb as a box of rocks. He doesn't learn, but he will. And when he will start learning new stuff, that's where we're going to be making real progress pretty fast, I think, I hope.
Does anybody at your companies, or do you sometimes do the exercise of a red team that thinks of the worst possible way your innovation can be used? Because what I learned from Mark Zuckerberg testimonies was like, oh, we didn't think that could have been used like this in this way. So they certainly didn't do that exercise, or if they did the exercise, they just were very quiet about it.
I think that's an excellent point. That's something, there might be a sort of mindset that, you have a like-minded group of technological evangelists, and everybody's sort of in a hubris that you might forget the angles that is there some bad things that can come out of this? So yeah, I think that's an excellent point.
Okay. Any other questions or there?
Adam Eurek from Czech Radio. Mika, you said that automatization brings the urgency of personalization. So what are you going to do about it? Do you have any plans how to make the experience more personalized? I think, maybe I'm wrong, but I think that YLE has pretty personalized mobile app, right? Yeah, that's the beginning, or?
Yeah, we were, luckily, I think I can say that we were ahead of the curve in personalization. We started it pretty early, and we had what we call a hyper-personalized news app for like 4 or 5 years ago. So we're going to be going forward with the basic personalization thing that we have, and we've been talking about personalization 2.0, which takes your location, if you want, to personalization 3.0 with the context that you're doing. It's hard. Are we going to be able to do it? I have no idea. But we do have a good start. And my point is that what I showed there, that automated journalism is eventually going to produce so much stories that without any personalization, I think the vast majority of the stories are left, unread or unseen or unheard.
Okay. I think our time is up. I want to thank everybody for attending, and then also, of course, the panel for being here and telling these stories. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you. Thanks, guys.
Thank you very much.